asked, this guy was so smooth. They asked something about Angelina Jolie, and like, because we'd both gotten to kiss her or something in the movie, and they asked him, so we both kissed her.
They cut it out.
We both got to kiss her and we both got cut out, so it's a painful story, but ignore that part. He answers something about how he only has eyes for his wife, or his wife is the best. And all the moms are like, oh! I was like, Sam, you are the smooth bastard. You just won every point with the mommy bloggers.
It was quite amusing that the two guys from Boston were from Bradford,
Right.
England, like the only non-Americans.
You did a nice accent.
Thank you very much.
Very believable.
Well, I like doing accents. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. Boston, if that's what it was, it's tricky. But it also helps distance yourself from yourself,
Sure.
which is always quite nice.
Yeah.
And you also hide the entire time of
Yeah.
doing the film, so I mean, people can't be too picky. Really, is that what you sound like when you're on heroin? I don't know, man. Nitpick?
That was a weird morning when they're like on your list. What am I doing today? Costume fitting, and then then they're going to show me how to chase the dragon. Tasted disgusting.
We were saying though,
Sugar.
if you're in a,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't feel what's going on.
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of stories about that. You know, guys having to take drugs to deal with what we send them into,
Yeah.
and then we sit and judge them from the outside.
Well, they were always giving
You shouldn't use torture. You
Yeah.
know, fuck you. We have to shoot up with cocaine and go and kill people. Like, we'll decide if we use torture.
They were giving amphetamine to
Yeah.
soldiers.
Yeah.
Since they invented it.
Yeah.
But smack's it's not one for sort of...
That's probably not a great drug. That's probably not a great drug.
No.
Having never taken a drug in my life, I can't speak with authority, but
Just
I'm
hide
guessing.
behind
Trust me, Sharlto.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Smack's not
Doesn't work.
No.
Okay. You know, people ask about this. I don't do usually. I don't do an enormous amount of like external sort of research of like, oh, my character came from this and his dad did that to him and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, like some actors always, and then he eats this food. I have done it, but I just sort of energetically hook into something and then work from there. I work from a voice. I work from the deepest place that I can with the character rather than the. So in this case, you know, I had a great pointer from Ben and Amy in the script of like Vernon was misdiagnosed as a child genius and never quite got over it. I was like, okay, I can see what that might be emotionally.
Yeah, it's a brilliant
You know, to that character. And then kind of exactly where he went to school, whether he was on the football team or not, it's not as important as like, okay, how would that have translated? You know, and then probably he would have always been pissed if he was, and then you could ask me, like, how was school for you? And then as the character, you know, I would answer. And I would know, you know, in the improving, once I get the spirit of the character, I will tell you. I'll tell you from that point of view. I have no problem. You could ask me as Vernon. If you ask me now, it's like I have to try to think about it. And if I'm being Vernon and you ask me about school or my mom or my dad, I have no problem telling you about them. I don't know. That's just my process.
I think I'm similar. I think I'm similar.
Very good heart underneath. When his friend dies, he'll never forget you.
It's really weird because we were talking about this earlier, how both of our wives actually quite
loved our characters.
It's quite like, I don't know what the redeeming quality is. But you even feel sorry for him though. My wife was saying that. So at one point I was like, wow. Okay.
My wife, also just loved Vernon as it turned out. I was like, really? Okay, that's great. Want to do the dishes, babe? Well, I'm gonna go get a beer. Then it doesn't work. No, somehow that part doesn't translate. But I'm like, but you said you like him. What's the problem? Well, I must do the dishes, babe. That's a chick's job.
It's uncomfortable to some extent, but we were all in it together, weren't we? So there wasn't really. You could only complain on it to the phone to somebody later at night. You could never complain in front of the others. You know.
Everyone had to just toughen up.
Just lumped. We were saying before it got quite fun. We almost did towards the end. We just skipped the makeup trailer out there, didn't we?
Yeah.
I had to have a black eye every day.
Black eye.
But other than that, we got in such a specific type of mess that it could only be recreated by going into the back in the warehouse and just like lying on the ground and rolling around or putting your head in a pile of dirt. That was the only way of replicating
Truly getting it,
the
yeah.
continuity of
Yeah, if they
from
come
the
and
day
try and sort
before.
of put a little bit of dirt on you, it's like,
I mean, putting the wet jeans on every morning was just like sticky as hell.
from the blood.
Yeah, not from me.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I tried, you notice how
I saw in your eyes.
I covered you there, I just went, just so he wasn't pissing himself.
Clarify.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, as it turns out, insurance believes that that's the most dangerous thing that I've ever done on camera, because insurance insisted that be done after they shot the whole movie. So if you're looking mathematically at odds of dying, apparently, according to insurance company, anything I'd done since, or even prior, was not as dangerous as requesting that I get set on fire, because everything else was shot in sequence. And that did start to sort of freak me out just a little bit, where I was like, really? Okay. Yes, you still want to do it? Yeah, no, I'll still do it, because now I've acted like a tough guy until that moment. But actually what got me with that was they did incredible prosthetics work on me, like 3rd-degree burns on my arms. And you see some of it in the film, but it really, we don't linger on it enough. The actual whole back of my head is burnt, and the shoulders are burnt. And the arms and the suit is burnt into the flesh, and it was so realistically done. And so I was doing post-burn, before I'd actually set myself on fire, I was doing the scenes where I had this on. And sometimes, you know, what I've experienced in acting is you'll do something, and this was one of those cases where it was so realistic that as I moved the tendons in my hand, these burnt tendons with like 3D burns would move, and your brain is trying to process that. Like your brain is going, I'm burnt, but I'm not burnt. And a few times my hand would just start to like shake like this, and I'd be like, what the hell is going on? And so I didn't make it easy for myself, because I also had the set medic had worked with real burn victims. He was like, he'd been in war zones, and so I thought it was a great idea to get him in to come and see like, how realistic is this? And then he started telling me stories, and I'd be like, you know, so but like, I mean, if I accidentally burnt, you know, and I had some gas or this glue like they're putting on my hand and it burnt, I mean, I wouldn't burn like that easily, right? And he's like, oh mate, you'd be, you know, once the fat sets alight, you'd be there in about 5 seconds, you know, like burn down to that amount. And so he would explain to me how easy it is for me to get to that level of burn if it was to go wrong. And so suddenly I'm like, and starts telling me stories about like, you know, oh, there was this one guy at a petrol station and he caught a light, and he's telling me the whole story about how he had to go, and all these horror stories, which I'm sort of fascinated by in one way, but then the day is coming where I have to actually set myself on fire, and it just kind of mentally messed with me. But he had it worse. His death scene, I think psychologically, no, psychologically, because he gets driven over. And so
What a real van.
yeah, and so they do the stunt with like the 3 wheels. Explain it. Because
Basically the way, I saw it once on TV, Penn and Teller, the comedians do it when I was a little kid with my dad.
Yeah.
So when they said, we've got this great idea, I was like, I know, I was familiar with it. They weight it down on one side. The tire that goes over my head is the one fake tire.
Well, it's just not fake, it's just not, yeah, there's no pressure on it, but it's still there.
And then they're pushing it over toward, it was very weird. Because the other thing is that they'd have to run around the front and then stop it, because the next tire coming wasn't on it. But everyone was like, but it's
I actually think that takes it over the burn, dude.
well, it's all,
I think so.
because everything, as it's coming towards you,
Every
every part of your being is telling you to move out of the way.
Right.
Or imagining that this might be the last thing
It's your head, but it's not even, it's like anything goes wrong.
Bizarrely, when we were at the London premiere, my family were there. When it always gets quite a good reaction.
Yes.
The loudest laugh I heard in the cinema was my father. I was like, I know that laugh.
Thanks, Dad. What's the meaning?
Firstborn is going, it was nervous laughter, but it was, yeah.
Actually,
I think that developed as we were doing it. I remember the very first version of the script that I read. It was funny, but it wasn't. It was grim as well, and that sort of largely thanks to you, I'd say. It started to develop as we were doing it, and this fantastic process of improvisation mixed with the brilliant script,
Right.
and flipping between the two things. And then Amy Jump, who's Ben's partner and writer, she'd also start to tailor. You'd get rewrites very often, and they'd be tailored more to how she saw us taking over how the character was developing
Right.
in the hand of the actor or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was it got funnier. It would be a pretty grim film if it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
No, there was a lot of laughter. We were just talking about this in the previous interview, but there wasn't any corpsing, which is when you laugh on
During a
take.
Ah.
It was between. There was a lot of it, but there was always an element of anxiety before every take, because
Once
of
the
the
shooting
gunfire.
started,
Because
yeah.
because of the gunfire. And there was always a sense with me, certainly at the end of each day, that everyone was all right. It was the most, I think, for me as well, the most dangerous set in the sense of what could have happened.
The number of charges that I was saying to someone, I think it was probably by quite a way the most dangerous in terms of number of squib hits that were right by my head at a given time, that were loaded at that time, because Ben would do long takes. So normally in something you would have okay, we're going to do the shot where I get, someone shoots at me and I move off the chair, and then the squibs blow up, and we do 3 of those. But in Ben's thing, we do all of our chairs, and then we do the sequence, the guy comes in and starts shooting, and we all go into the ground. And so if you get the timing wrong with any of that stuff, the charges are going to go off right next to you, and then it absolutely will damage you. It's not going to, and if it goes by your face,
Yeah.
you
There's a lot of concentration.
So it really did up the ante of okay guys, everyone just focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all played silly buggers in between.
Yeah.
But we all sensed the responsibility for one another's well-being. Well, it was spotless, wasn't it?
Originally, when
it had been
yeah.
industrially cleaned
Yes.
in order for it to be made as filthy as
Horrendous,
it
yeah.
was. And it was right behind the supermarket in Brighton.
Oh God, remember
We
that?
used to dare each other to go in and buy sandwiches, didn't we? There was a brilliant sign outside Marks and Spencer supermarket, sort of telling people not to call the cops.
No, but that sign only happened because no one heard the sign there on the first day. So someone called the cops, so the cops arrived, and it was a whole thing, because when there's gunfire in England, then the police come with the gun police come, that's a whole thing, yeah.
Wow.
Shoot sign, do not be alarmed by gunfire.
Yes.
Or men walking around in 70s clothes covered in blood.
But I didn't mention that part.
Prawn sandwich. It was great. I think of the Brie fight. Brie
Well,
and
Larson still alive. You can make it. You can get a shot through the nose and out the back of the head and miss the brain. I mean, it's totally possible.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm defaulting that question to Neil nowadays. Very soon I'm going to publish his email online, and then people just email him directly. Every day.
I've heard him being asked that.
I've
We've been together all day. You're not the first person.
It was such a great movie.
Yeah, that was. Thank you guys.
You were the best.
No problem.
You were the best.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
There you go.
Thank you.